Hello. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us here in track 3 at Creative Production Day. Before we start, just a bit of housekeeping. Just a reminder that if you're looking for Disney, then scroll to the top of the agenda and click track 1 or track 2 to hear from Fiverr. During this session, we encourage you to speak to each other and chat with your fellow attendees. You know, we're all in the game of collaborating and all that jazz. And of course, please do submit your questions using the panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will pick those up at the end of the session. Right, so let's get this party started, Ben. I'm so pleased to be able to introduce you to our next speaker. With over 25 years in the business, Ben is one of the most prolific direct-to-consumer brand-building marketeers in the world, having created and developed not one, which is enough, but 3 multi-billion-dollar brands. He's won numerous awards over the course of his career, but gets the biggest kick out of developing brands and driving real change in people's lives. He has a passion, and he clearly has a talent for redefining established industries and bringing them into the new age. Ben is a professional brand agitator, not afraid to shock to overcome stigma. And today he's going to take us through some of his work and the stories behind them. So ladies and gentlemen, we have the Madonna of marketing in the room. Benjamin de Castro. I told you I'd get Madonna in there somewhere, didn't I?
You did. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. So Ben, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey?
Yeah. Thank you. First of all, I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much, Nikki, for the kind words. I've been a marketer for over 25 years, and a lot of D2C brands. And one of the things that I started to realize throughout my career is, what are those nuggets that make a D2C brand great? And there's different types of flavors of D2C brands out there and different reasons why they're great. But the common thing that I have always found is the ones that are the most successful are the ones that find a problem to solve, right? And have a unique way to solve it. And they're on the consumer side. They're bringing extra value that the regular, especially a well-established industry, will not or cannot do. And then the way to break through is with creative. The best D2C brands have some amazing creative. And they're very bold. They're very different. So when you look at them and you go, oh, wow, this is refreshing. This is new. This is different. Let me find out about this. And it's, been that way throughout my entire life from ING Direct. We started that in Canada. I am Canadian.
I thought you were so nice.
Yeah, well, and so born and raised, we started ING Direct in Canada, and we took that to 9 countries across the world. Kobo, which is the second largest e-reading company in the world, started that one as well in Canada, and we took that to 19 countries in the world. And now I'm here at Ergo in the United States, living in California, and we're doing the same thing. We're starting another brand, this one in the hearing aid space, established, oligarchic industry. Frankly, it needs disruption, and we're here to do that. And I was starting a brand to do that exact same thing that we're going to, again, take to the rest of the world. So it's been a hell of a journey over 25 years, but it is exciting.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, 25 years, you don't look old enough, babe, so.
Thank you.
So the best thing, before we start diving into the details, I always think it's quite good, especially when you're doing good work, because let's be honest, like you say, I think it is rare and few and far between now that you get to work that it just really goes, bloody hell, that's so good. So let's show some of the work before we start talking about it. So I'm going to show your first bit. Do you want to set the piece up, babes, and then we can chat about it after?
Yeah. So this first one is called Overheard, or people call it the Condom Ad. In terms of giving people the heads up why we did what we did, understand that hearing loss is extremely prevalent. There are 50 million Americans with hearing loss, 500 million people in the world with hearing loss, and that number is growing. The WHO estimates by the year 2040, there's going to be 1.5 billion people in the world with hearing loss, and the fastest growing demographic are young people because of this, right? But the problem with that is that most people do nothing about it, right? They are in denial. And why? Because if there's 2 things in life that say to the world, broadcast to the world, you're over the hill, it's the walker right? And the hearing aid, and nobody wants this big, ugly banana behind their ear. And so people put it off, or they create these barriers, these walls. They raise the volume on the TV. They listen in. They learn how to read lips. They compensate. What they're really doing is just creating a barrier. And if you tell them they have hearing loss, they go, no, no, no. I've been in many situations where people will say to me, oh, this is great for my father. And I'd be like, hey, look, sounds like it could be good for you, actually, right? Because people create these barriers. And so we have to overcome these barriers. And that's the first step. Because if you try to sell a hearing aid to someone that doesn't even think they have hearing loss, you're never going to, right? We have to somehow crack through the barrier. And what really works to crack through a barrier like this is humor, in particular, shock humor. It breaks down the barrier, the psychological barrier you have, and automatically opens them up to having a dialogue. So the purpose of this was to break down the barrier, to put the person with an eargo as the hero, as being the smart person, so that they could see themselves in that person's shoes, and then say, wow, let me find out more about this, because I want to be that guy, or I feel I could be that guy.
Yeah.
So why don't you roll it?
Yeah. You'll have to bear with me because I'm doing the old screen share, but we've all been there. We all know how painful this is now, don't we?
Thanks for having us this weekend, Mrs. Garcia.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Of course. And thank you guys for these gorgeous flowers. So thoughtful. Did you bring the condoms?
So?
Condoms. Condom. Why would I say condoms?
Condoms, Charlie. She wants to know if you brought any condoms.
Yeah, I brought some.
Eargo, a virtually invisible hearing loss solution with high-quality sound and lifetime support.
It's so good. Do you know what? I love this ad because it breaks down those assumptions that it only affects old people. And, because I have a disability, I have arthritis. And, and everyone just assumes it's the old person's disease. So when you see work that speaks for you and your demographic, honestly, it's just like a breath of fresh air because, as you say, it affects so many more people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've got a question for you because I love brave work like that. But how do you take nervous stakeholders on the journey with brave work? How do you manage conversations around we have to ignore the small percent that it might offend?
Yeah. I mean, the first one is conviction. You got to show people that you believe in this work, because if they even detect a small hint of hesitation, they're just going to say we shouldn't do this. And this work was very difficult to get approved internally, and especially for my CEO and even my CMO at the time. They were very hesitant because they understood we needed to shock the consumer, but they didn't realize we were going to shock them this much.
We didn't even talk about sex.
Exactly, right? We were selling hearing aids, not condoms, right? Yeah. And so they were very apprehensive. But what I did was I showed them, yes, this is what's going to penetrate this, and then we even did research, right, just to make them feel better about it. And yes, out of I think it was 20% out of the people that actually saw the ad or the script of the ad, the animatic of the ad, did not like it whatsoever. But the 80% that did, they loved it.
Yeah.
They absolutely. This is a very polarizing ad, but that's what it's meant to do. And just like buying hearing aids online, not everyone's going to be doing it, right? And chances are you need someone who's a little more forward thinking, someone who's more with technology. So it suits the brand better. It also fits the boldness of the brand that we were going after. So they took the leap of faith in me, and we ran the ad. And I can tell you, everyone. We have a call center in Nashville. The very, very conservative part of America, and a lot of people out in our Nashville call center had a lot of deep reservations about this. Understood. But I can tell you that when the phone started to ring after this ad went up, suddenly they forgot all about the fact that there was condoms in the ad, and they love it. And so, now we're doing our next ad, shock ad, and And the problem is now the bar is set here. So
Yeah.
now my CEO is not saying, I don't want to do a condom ad. Is let's get more bold,
Yeah.
more, because they saw the effects on the business. And for me, that's the telltale sign that you've done so.
Yeah, and it did have a positive effect on business, right? It did have a
massive,
yeah,
massive. We were already growing like this, and then we just suddenly shot up. Like this.
Yeah, brilliant. I think when you talk about a bit about being polarizing, we're in a weird, challenging, polarizing time culturally at the minute. Do you think it's going to make it harder to make risque work? And a second question, do you think the audience of today is there's that cultural piece, and do you think it's a bit sensitive to make the work that should exist?
That's a great question. Look, the greatest work are the ads people remember are the ads that do something different.
Yeah.
Are the ads that stick out. They're not the same type of ads that everyone else shows up. Like if you ask people, what are the ones that everyone always says the Apple ad, the 1984 ad is the greatest ad ever done. But you can even look at some of the other ads. It's the ones that make you laugh, or the ones that that entertain you, or give you a piece of information, or make you think about something differently. Yeah. Those are the ones that people remember. And especially in times like these, I think that is what has to lead the way. That has to be your North Star. There is this whole cultural sensitivity, especially these days. I think cancel culture and everything else. Don't be afraid to push the envelope, because otherwise you're going to create an ad like everybody else creates. And imagine if I had done an ad like every other hearing aid company does out there, which is grandma in a rocking chair knitting and talking to her grandkids. Boomers would have never. Baby boomers, who are our target, would have never liked that ad, because they don't see themselves as grandma in a rocking chair. They even see themselves as different.
Yeah.
And generally, people do see themselves as different. And you have to understand what that is. You have to understand your consumer and how to communicate with them. Let that be your driving force. Let that be your North Star. Forget the culture. Culture goes with the wind.
Yeah.
But if you create great ads, they supersede that and even help to create what the culture is.
Yeah, that is true. Great. So let's we're going to go to another bit of work. Do you want to set this one up, my love?
Yeah. So I believe the next one is Reader's Passion. I believe it's an ad I did for Kobo.
Yeah.
And this ad was a very big departure from what. So Kobo had been very funny up to this point, very funny, humorous in their ads up to this point. And it's okay to be funny, but you need to have a purpose for funny. There's a place and a time for funny, and there's not. And what using my research, I was able to figure out that our readers didn't really necessarily care if the ad was funny. They wanted something that connected to them. And what we realized was that the heavy reader, someone who reads a lot, and Kobo, by the way, is an e-reading company, ebook company. What connects with them is their passion for reading. We're talking about people that read 30, 40, 50 books a year. Right? Those are the kind of people that buy ebooks. They're voracious readers that as soon as they finish a book, they need to restart the next one, and going onto an e-reader, ordering your book is better than going to a bookstore or a library and getting a book. It's faster. And so what we needed to do was show them that we understand them. We understood what they were going through. And by doing that, we did an ad, still humorous to an effect, but it really put them at the centerpiece, put them on the pedestal, and showed that we understand that once you're engrossed in a book, the whole world, no matter what's around you, just goes away.
Yeah. Okay, let's show that. Oh, no. Honestly, the pressure. Here you go. Right. Hold up. Oh, no. Can again.
You're playing it again.
I know. Don't worry. I'm coming back. Sorry, my love. So, right. Where am I? So actually, did you make this with an agency or did you make this in-house?
That one was made with an agency,
Mhm.
and the previous one you saw was made with an agency. But we do make here at Ergo, we do make ads in-house as well. And it really depends on what the needs are. If we have a great in-house agency. I have a fantastic creative director who was agency for 25 years, Leo Burnett out of Chicago, and I try to do as much in-house as I can, but sometimes we either don't have the bandwidth to do another ad, or there's certain expertise that we could leverage an agency with, and so we for the Ergo ad, we used an agency called Huge out of Brooklyn. Nice big agency, and the nice thing I like about using both those creative teams, in-house and agency, is that, I mean, it's also important that they all work together well, and ours do. Our creative director works very, very well with their creative director.
Yeah.
But it also expands the breadth of creative. It's great having an in-house agency because they can move very quickly, and then we can generate different types of creative. But sometimes, you're in a brand so long that you can't see the forest through the trees. Having an external point of view gives you a fresh look at things, and then it generates even more ideas. So when we feel like we need that, or we need some extra bench strength, we'll go outside and use Huge. But for the most part, we use a lot of, probably 80% of our work is done through an internal in-house agency.
So talking about that bit about bringing external people in, when it comes to good creative work, you need that right balance of kind of like the push and pull, right, to get to good work, particularly when you're talking about brave work. Do you think that the rise of in-housing to a certain point and that absence of the creative friction that you need is in part blamed to more safe and vanilla work that we're seeing?
Yeah. In short, yes.
Yeah.
And I personally love it. I'm always challenging my team and even the agency. Don't agree with me with everything that I say. An old boss once told me, Ben, if you know what happens if you agree with everything I say, all my opinions? I said, no. And he said, it makes you redundant. It's absolutely true. Great creative work comes from dialogue. It comes from different points of view. Right. And I personally love it when my creative director or the agency creative director or whoever it is comes to me and pushes their work. I may choose, I may someone say, yeah, I prefer, this particular creative. And they may say, no, I want you to do this one. Take another look at this one. This is the one that's really going to break through. And so I'm like, okay, well, sell me on it. Explain it to me. Why do you think this is going to be? And Huge is great at that. And and I'm the first to tell them, like, I want to see that.
Yeah.
Because to me, that shows me that it's more than just the work. They are personally and emotionally invested in it. That means I'm getting their best.
Yeah.
Right. And if I'm getting their best, then you know that the work's going to work.
Yeah, definitely. What's your biggest piece of advice to agency from a brand's perspective to buying good work?
Push for your ideas. Push for your ideas and sell them hard. If you really believe it, I mean, first, understand the customer. Because that's the biggest thing with an agency. The client usually understands the customer very well, or they should, and the agency not as much because they're working along many different clients, and they have to worry about different types of targets they have to work on, and you're not engrossed in the business, so you don't actually know what are those things that are driving. So ask a lot of questions of the client. Really get to understand what are those key factors that really are triggers for the consumer. And if you can find a couple of triggers, especially emotional ones, hone in on them. Hone in on them hard. And then use that to create your creative. And I guarantee you, and then once you find a great idea, push it. Right? Don't just if the client seems like they're on the fence, go. It could be that the client says, I can't do this for a regulatory reason or for a legal reason. Or fine, you can't do that. But always push your heart on your ideas because most of the time, you're right.
Yeah. That's music to lots of people's ears, I think. Right, let's go into another. I love this because I love showing work. Do you want to set up the next piece, my love?
Yeah. So this last one is called Game Show. It was done internally by our internal team for Ergo here. And the learning here is that our demographic watches a lot of TV during the daytime. One of their favorite shows to watch is Price is Right. It's a game show, and we thought, wow. wouldn't it be great if we had some fun with Eargo? So this is a DRTV ad, which is different from the other spot, which is a brand ad. The brand ad is just about making sure people understand who Eargo is, right? And how to, that's it. Just what Eargo is, what they do, and how they could benefit me. That's the purpose of a brand ad. This is DRTV, so it's a lot more product specific. So it's going to talk about the hearing aid and all the different features of the hearing aid, blah, blah, blah. So once you start getting to that, people think it's hard to put creative in there somehow.
Yeah.
Right? How do you get creative about when you got to explain all the speeds and feeds of this product? It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, how do you do that? Well, our creative director came up with an idea, leveraging the aspect of a game show, which is when you listen to The Price is Right, they're always describing the product, right? They're like, oh, and this, it's rice-a-roni, it's, you can make it in 5 minutes, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's make it a game show. And I was like, okay. Now, the interesting thing is, I think they did too good a job because I tried to put it on The Price is Right and CBS wouldn't air it because they said it looks too much like a game show. And they didn't want it competing with The Price is Right. So, but that said, I'll let you air it.
But you know what? How good would that be? Like, when you can't tell if it's like living in culture or it's the ad, you're getting it right.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're getting it right. Right, bear with me to get this right, gang, because honestly, it's. I might have to just. There you go. We get there eventually.
All right.
Nearly. Here we go.
Welcome back to Guess the Price. Sal, what do you do?
Oh, I'm a retired postal worker.
Fantastic. Are you ready to play?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay, Johnny. Tell him about Eargo.
These top-of-the-line hearing aids from Eargo are straight out of the future. They're rechargeable and virtually invisible in your ears.
Okay, Sal, how much do you think they cost?
Oh, gee, I don't know. $5,000?
Well, actually, for you, they don't cost anything.
Holy heck.
That's because federal employees, retirees, and their families can get these life-changing hearing aids at no cost.
Holy heck.
And you don't need to visit a doctor to get them. They ship right to your home and come with lifetime remote support. Convenient, right?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Eargo, your life to the fullest.
Honestly, it's so good.
So there's another version of that where he doesn't say heck yeah, he actually swears, and we bleep out the swears and the mouth and everything like that, and that's more of the shock version of it. But that one didn't get to run too much. That's a lot of networks are like, that's a little bit too much.
Yeah, you're going a little bit too far. Yeah. I'm just we got some questions coming through, so I definitely want to get these in front of you.
All right.
Do you think that having polarizing, bold content should be the goal? You mentioned the 80-20 metric with your test audience and the impact it had on sales. Is it worth the haters and vitriol?
Yes. Look, if you're going to spend your time going after 20%, you're wasting your time, honestly. Let the other guys, some people will never, especially if you're dealing with a new business model, they will never come your way. When I started ING Direct, way back in the 90s, we had the research that basically said, remember, virtual banking was still new. Banking over the phone or on the web was still new. And a lot of people said, I'm never going to bank online, ever, right? Today, who the hell goes into a branch? Right? People just, they're not there yet. Don't waste your time trying to get them there today. Go after the ones that they're already there. The other ones will come. They will come, right? They're laggards. Focus on the ones that your business is keen on today. And though you're going to build your business on today. In the future, they will come. And so, yes, focusing on the 80% is absolutely the right way to go.
So, following on from that, is there really such a thing as no bad PR?
No, actually, that's not true. Just ask Peloton.
I'm
sorry.
Funny enough.
Yeah. So no, there is such a thing as bad PR. Bad PR can damage your brand. Yes, it gives awareness, but being aware of a company for the wrong thing is not good PR. In fact, it's bad. You now have put damage onto your brand that you have to repair, and repairing a brand sometimes takes years or sometimes impossible. And I think Peloton was quick to realize that, and they've now made the right moves, and good for them. And lots of brands, understand this. And unfortunately, a lot of them understand it by going through the same kind of pain.
Yeah.
But in the end, good PR is worth its weight in gold. Bad PR could kill a business.
Yeah. Someone's asked, are you going to be entering any awards of this work? That's what you want to hear, isn't it? Look at that. It's like,
yeah, absolutely. I love the awards, not for myself personally, but for my team and the agency. For them, it's a sign, especially when an industry award, when your peers tell you your work is great. It's a badge of honor for them. It really makes them feel great. So yes, we've won lots of awards for our ads in the past. We've won some Clios, we've won some pencils, et cetera, et cetera. There was no con last year, otherwise I would have submitted it. But yes, we definitely will submit these and others to all the awards this year.
It's a proper badge as well. When you do, I mean, that like the last stuff that you've done, that you're doing in-house, when you can compete with the big boys and win, that's the real gold, isn't it? It's like, because we get asked quite a lot, because we deal with a lot of in-housing, do we need our own awards for in-housing? And we kind of go, look, you work to different metrics, but actually there's no reason why the creativity, you can't get the same creativity as everybody else. It's like,
Absolutely. There is no reason why an in-house creative team can't compete with an agency team. It's creative people, and you could say that in-house creative people do more of the nuts and bolts type work. Doesn't mean you can't be creative. It doesn't mean you can't be creative, honestly.
Do you think that as a brand, you can benefit by having agency creatives working on site and experience your business firsthand?
Yes, that's a great question. Absolutely. I think the more they could be immersed in your business, the better. Unfortunately, we're in California and our agency is in Brooklyn, New York. Otherwise, yes, I mean, they have come here once, and every time I encourage them to come, and we'll go there. But, being here and seeing the people, walking over to our engineering department, seeing what they're working on, seeing the people that are there, especially going to a call center, listening to calls of people coming in and the questions that they ask, that immerses you in the brand. It also immerses you in the issues, the pain points the customers are having. And again, it's from doing that kind of research, understanding the customer, understanding the pain points. That's where you're going to find the golden nuggets. Right? That's where you're going to find that inspiration or that idea or that light bulb that's going to lead to the great creative idea, right? And so you have to search for it. You have to find it. They are there. They exist. But they're not, a lot of the times, they're not just going to bubble to the surface. You got to go digging for it. And I guarantee you, if you go digging far enough, you're going to find it. And that is the crown jewel of how you're going to come to a great idea.
In your mind, what makes a great marketeer? What do you teach to the others that are underneath you?
That's a great question. For me, it's three things and their characteristics. I mean, marketing, I like to think it's hard, but I fell into it. But really it's about three attributes, being a good listener, being a good learner, and taking risks, having the goal to take risks. If you're someone that knows it all, like a boss once told me, Ben, once you come to the point in your career where you think you've learned everything there is in marketing, he said to me, quit. And I was like, why? He goes, because you should never be at that point. You should never be at the point where you think you know everything. Marketing is changing, especially now more than ever. The media landscape is changing so aggressively. It changes every day. You have to be in learning mode 100% of the time. Right. And then, but to do that effectively, you have to listen. I'm at the point in my life where I am teaching other people the stuff that I know, but I'm also at the point where I'm listening to the things that they know or they're bringing to the table and others as well, so that I can continue to learn. And then finally, I think a lot of times people are afraid to take risks. But yet the biggest wins in my marketing career have been from the times I've taken the biggest risks. And that's just the name of the game. I mean, you're never going to be known for doing a bunch of safe ads. You're never going to be known for, hitting Q2 numbers. You're going to be known for doing that incredible ad that absolutely demolished the Q2 number, right? That's what you're going to be known for. And the only way you're going to do that, you got to stomach it and take a risk. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to fail. Be prepared. I have failed many, many times. I've succeeded too. Right? So you can't succeed without failure. If you're willing to accept that, then I think, you're going to be a great marketer.
Do you know what, Ben? I think, you know, we're coming to the end now, but I think that's a brilliant way to close. Thank you so much. I could listen to you for hours. We should get a bottle of wine and keep going. So thank you very much. This concludes today's session.